Hey, Dr. Dan here, continuing our series on professional and business writing. Thanks for tuning in. So let's talk about the writing process today. What does that mean? You've maybe had college professors or even different parts in your education where people have told you writing is a process. Let's break that down. So when we think about writing, it's not just as simple as you have an idea in your head and you translate it to the page. Maybe it starts out as you might even think in visual terms or conceptual terms or mathematical terms, or you just have a kind of hint of an idea, or maybe you have a couple words buzzing around in your head, and that's maybe the impetus to write something. So you have a purpose when you write, generally speaking. And if you're writing purposelessly, then maybe take a step back and wonder if the communication is necessary in the first place. But generally, you've identified some kind of purpose where you have to write something. You have to have language to convey a message. And you need to convey that to a specific individual or a specific group or say. So then what do you do? Well, you start by drafting. You start getting your ideas out on the page, getting the general form and flow of the language rolling so that it materializes into something concrete and construct, and it's real and it exists now on the screen or the page. I say the page because, right, I'm thinking about writing by hand, but most of us when we write, we're typing. And so this is interesting. We can't type quite as quickly as we can think. Even very fast typers, if you type 100 words per minute or something like that, your mind is maybe working at, say, 1,000 or several thousand words per minute. So you can't quite keep up with your thoughts, and your thoughts are going to be jumbled and interrupted, and maybe you'll be physically interrupted while you're working on something. And so you're drafting. You're just getting a general idea of your thoughts out on the page. And again, I'm talking about emails, press releases, text message, just about anything that you're writing, a resume. Everything should be kind of gone through this process of, okay, first you draft, then you revise, then you edit, and then you publish or do the thing. Say that. So draft, revise, edit, publish, I would say, is the general writing process. And you might have to jump back and forth in between these things. But so what happens often is, you'll develop something in a report, or say you're writing a report for a supervisor who's going to present it at a board meeting about your department's sales data for the last quarter. What happens to that document? You draft it, you get your ideas out. Let's say then you do you go through, you delete a couple sections, that's revision. Maybe you didn't need that one piece of data. Maybe the 7th slide was just kind of irrelevant. That's your revision process. Maybe you forgot to add in some data that was really important. And then before you send it over to your supervisor, what do? You go through, maybe run a spell check. You should really, if you have time, do a line-by-line edit and make sure there aren't any kind of glaring errors. And you will miss them. I've done it. Everybody does it. A typo gets slipped in. It's going to happen. That's why there needs to be this kind of continual revision. So what's going to happen? You send that report over to your supervisor. Okay, he or she will look through it, and then most likely they'll send it back to you with some corrections. And some people get really upset when they get feedback on their writing or their projects at work, but you have to realize that it's not necessarily ultimate truth that you receive in feedback. It's simply a perspective of someone who's informed on the topic, who may be giving you some guidance. A lot of my writers don't understand this at first in the classroom. They feel compelled to absolutely follow every piece of feedback, but it's really meant to be digested and considered and thought about. So anyway, and your mileage may vary depending on how your supervisor is at work. They might say, absolutely make this change no matter what. That should be communicated clearly. But anyway, you'll get back some notes, and then you start doing some rewriting, right? You're revising again, you're changing, you're adding, you're moving things around. And revision is really, it should be a strategic process where you take that piece of writing and kind of kill parts of it and give new life to it. And maybe you even change the title. People love to hang on to the words that they write too dearly. Far too much do we love the words that we write. And the trick, I think, a big trick to becoming a better writer is learning how to kill your babies. Kill the sentences that don't make sense. Let it go. It's not magic. It's not special. It's not worth anything, really. Our language dies as soon as it leaves us. This is the kind of, this is maybe from Derrida, I think. It's like when your voice speaks, the words go out into the air and then they die because we're bound by time, linear time, the past. As soon as the words are coming out of my mouth, even right now, time is moving onward and the words have already died and new words are emerging from my mouth in this instant. And so the same with the words on the page, even though they're, say, recorded. And there's some interesting work about like the relationship between language and death and recording and memory. But okay.